think people are taking life far too seriously, like taking the little things far. And I'm not saying serious things are not going on in life, but I think, the state of mental health in the world shows there's not enough laughter and joy going on. And I don't think that's not because there's not enough opportunities. I'm not saying there isn't terrible things going on in the world. There is, but that people don't see the opportunities or don't feel like the stiff upper lip type English people. We're sat here going, oh, this is all right. But culturally, the Americans are much more able to let go. And they were like, woo!
Yeah, I've been in a simulator in Ireland. I love them. I think they're the best things ever.
Right. People who are very judgmental of others will be very judgmental of their shadow. That's what it's all about. And as you become self-aware and less judgy of yourself and those things that you're repressing, you will judge other people a lot less. And it will make you a lot lighter in life. And it will improve your relationships. It will improve your mental health, your mindset. So it's definitely worth doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
Joy and playfulness. So like, being overly serious is not good. You've got to be able to find the joy.
Yeah, like be childlike. Let that out. Like, people, oh my God, Jesus, be happy. Just be happy.
Yeah.
Because, like, we're afraid to show our childlike side. Everyone's like, oh, grow up, that's childish. Don't do that. Don't watch cartoons, that's childish. Do what you fucking want. If it makes you happy, it makes you laugh. Go for it.
I think people are taking life far too seriously. Like taking the little things far. And I'm not saying serious things are not going on in life, but I think, the state of mental health in the world shows there's not enough laughter and joy going on. And I don't think that's not because there's not enough opportunities. I'm not saying there isn't terrible things going on in the world. There is, but that people don't see the opportunities or don't feel it's appropriate. Like I remember actually when I went to America and finding it quite uncomfortable when we went to Disneyland or something, and there was like a zoo thing, and on the way to the zoo you get into this it's like a simulated helicopter ride, and you sit down and it doesn't really do very much. There's like something on the screen and it shakes you a little bit like this, but it's not impressive at all. So us being like the stiff upper lip type English people, we're sat here going, oh, this is all right. But culturally, the Americans are much more able to let go. And they were like, woo!
Yeah, I've been in a simulator in Ireland. I love them. I think they're the best things ever.
Right.
I don't know how you can enjoy it. I've been out there before. They're awesome.
Yeah, but then I realized, when I was like, what the heck is wrong with them? I'm talking like when I was about 21. Like what I realized is that I wish I was able to just shout out and enjoy it a bit more. I was just being like, oh, well, this could be better. Oh, well, this is all right. Whereas they were just finding the joy in the moment and like,
Well, I noticed that a few years back as well. Like before we kind of became aware, we'd get our hopes up about something and we'd have this idea of it. And then it would be different to what we'd expect. So we'd be like, this is shit.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't what we had predicted.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about going outside of our norm or our comfort zone as well. Like.
Yeah, being in the moment and experiencing it as it is without, it's the having expectations on things can ruin the moment, can't it?
Yeah.
That's why I always think spontaneous things always seem to work out better because it's all a surprise, isn't it? Like
exactly.
It's expectations because you weren't expecting it to happen.
Yeah.
Whereas when you plan something, you can put so much high expectation on it, and it doesn't go smooth.
The run up that's more exciting, and then you get to it, it's like a bit anticlimactic, and you're like, oh, okay. But yeah, spontaneity can be more exciting.
Yeah, definitely. But hard for other people to work around if you're just being spontaneous all the time.
Yeah, well, that's why I did things on my own. I went traveling on my own as well because I'm spontaneous. I bought the ticket, and they were like, "Oh, I've got to buy the ticket." Okay, bye.
Yeah. So, what else was I going to mention? So, So work on your shadow traits. Once you've identified some, it takes it takes you to be non-judgmental about it, and giving yourself compassion. Great things to do is journaling, because that's when you can spot things. Because sometimes, like when you sit there and you think, oh well, you might not know the things that trigger you, because they'll trigger you in the moment, and then you'll get on with your day and you won't think, oh, hold on a minute. So journaling things and seeing if there's patterns. Also, patterns of behaviors can lead to traits. If you keep repeating the same thing, it's probably because something in your subconscious is messing things up. You're not learning something.
Yeah, I
Let's do
don't
that
repeat
again.
it over and over again.
Let's try that one again. Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. Repeated cycles are definitely one as well. But like I find talking, I always go back to this. Journaling is great, but I find talking to myself very good to understand those parts of myself as well.
Oh, and this is what I was going to say about ChatGPT, because sometimes we don't know what we don't know, and so I got stuck. I'm not going to talk about the details of it, but there was something that was triggering me, and it didn't make sense that it was that in me, and I couldn't quite see what exactly how it fit. So I had a conversation with Chat GPT, and I explained, working on these theories, blah 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 blah. If this is triggering me, but this is how I behave, and this is what my value is, and if I know this, what could it be? And having that other perspective, someone to point out the bit that I can't see, which Chat GPT did. It was like, oh, it could be because of this. And I was like, I think you're right, actually. And that's why having a coach is a great thing, because that's what coaches do. Sometimes they'll ask the questions that you fail to ask yourself. And you will subconsciously fail to ask yourself that because you don't really want to explore the answer. Or just not that necessarily that you don't want to explore the answer, but that when we think we know, we don't need to explain it. And sometimes when we're having to explain it to someone else, we uncover things that we hadn't fully explored. So having a friend that you trust, that you can bounce off and talk things through and explain things through, is a great way to do to explore the shadow. And
definitely, because even conversations with you, I found lately, have answered questions for me. I might have asked myself the same question, but sometimes when you ask it in a compassionate way, I'm like, it makes me kind of answer it more truthfully. In a sense. And I'm like,
we can be harsh with ourselves, can't we?
Yeah, and it's like I'm in denial. Like, you said something like, oh Jesus, that must be tired. And I'm like, oh, it's fine, it's part of the journey. And then I'm like, okay, it is a bit tired. It is tough.
It was,
and then another question you asked me, like, I sugarcoat a lot of things. And then when you asked me, I'm like, oh, maybe it is hard. Yes, it is. It's hard. Instead of me just going to myself, I can do this. I get through everything. The way you've asked me questions, I'm like, okay, maybe I admit that this is actually a little bit harder than I was actually admitting to myself. Yeah, so it does. It's so much helpful. So much more helpful.
Yeah, so I would recommend having a think. If you want to explore your shadow, having a think, what character traits would you say are you? So that's a good place to start. So if you would say, because often, what kind of person are you? Well, I'm honest, and I'm this, and I'm that, all the things that you proudly say. The opposite of that is probably in your shadow, that because those things have been in your childhood or through society, have been sort of exaggerated as being the ideal. That's why you're happy to exclaim that you are those things. So that is likely meaning that the opposite of that is being repressed in you in some way. So you might find that those things have a think, if not necessarily means, but it's a great place to start. So then think, does the opposite trigger me? Or am I very harsh in the way that I view somebody who has that trait of any degree? Because yes, if somebody is really awfully selfish, leaves somebody without food or whatever, or steals something from somebody when they didn't really need something, it's not like they were hungry or anything. Like, if it's completely unreasonable and selfish, then yeah, that you should be judgmental. But were they just a tiny bit selfish, or were they just putting themselves first? You know, are they being selfish, or were they reasonably putting themselves first? So it's about thinking about those traits that you're judging. Are you judging them harshly? Are you being over the top with how, oh, they're being selfish? Were they being that selfish? So that's a great way to explore it. So journaling would help with that, just to make notes, looking at digging into it, and then to try and bring your shadow out into the light is it's a good to do some visualization, doing artwork, even role playing that. So a great thing for people pleasers, often they're not very assertive, is like role playing being assertive with a friend or in your mind. Imagine scenarios where perhaps you'd wished you stood your ground on something, and replay that in your mind, and how that could have looked differently, to start, and always without judgment and kindness to yourself, so that it stops it being so taboo. That's what I would suggest. And having a coach is a great way. They will help you and guide you through that. There's lots of great coaches that specifically work on shadow work, but all coaches that I know, coaches would be able to look at similar things.
I do the inner child healing, and then I'm on shadow work and inner team work as well. So it's something that I like to work with as well.
And it's all kind of linked, isn't it? So we've talked about triggers, we've talked about inner child. So the shadow is very much linked with the inner child.
The inner child, because your inner child is suppressed because of your family or society. So that's hiding in your shadow. And when you bring it out, like, that's it. Bring your inner child out to play. Bring your shadow out to play. Have some fun. This is where you are. This is the real you, really, behind that mask. Bring it out. That's where your happiness really lies. Because if you're pretending to be this false person your whole life, are you truly happy? No, your happiness is in where you think is your dark side. That's not that dark. Bring it out to the light and have this balance, I think your life becomes more colourful when you actually do shadow work.
Yeah, it's about dissolving the mask, isn't it? By bringing the shadow. It's so freeing to be able to just be who you are instead of who you think you should be. It's removing a weight. You don't realize how freeing it is, but I know. I mean, I've got lots of work still to do. I know I have, but I feel so much lighter than maybe a year ago, and it is that I am who I am, and I'm embracing that, and my worth is inside of me. It's everybody is born with self-worth. It's their right. They are worthy already.
We're born as blank slates. We are born unconditionally loving. And it's our upbringing and it's our peers, our parents, that make us into something that we're not, because we're doing what they've done. And as we become teenagers, we start to rebel because we start to see the truth. And then we revert again because we get into the wrong relationships. We end up in being another person that we weren't truly. And then we have to heal from those toxic relationships to finally discover who we truly are. And that's what it is. Your shadow is discovering what you truly are, who you truly are. Bringing your inner child out is discovering who you truly are.
Yeah, and being okay with that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And actually,
that's it.
People who are very judgmental of others will be very judgmental of their shadow. That's what it's all about. And as you become self-aware and less judgy of yourself and those things that you're repressing, you will judge other people a lot less, and it will make you a lot lighter in life, and it will improve your relationships, it will improve your mental health, your mindset. So it's definitely worth doing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's it.